Okay. Now, what the hell? Again? Come on. Jesus. Every single night. All right, there we go. Headphones. I don't. Looks like the gang's all here, so let's get started. Jesus, come on, tablet. Broadcasting live from beautiful 14-degree downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And as usual, I am your host, the grumpy old man. And bullshit. Our show is brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. No bow, thank you. See you, bye. So, how is everybody doing tonight? Grumpy is not doing too well, considering the good old Passat fell on its face again. I was exactly half a block from pulling in to get my CT scan. I'm sitting at the traffic light. Everything was going perfect until I let the clutch out when the light turned green and the car went nowhere. I had a suspicion what it could be, so I got out, opened the hood, took a left look on the driver's side. Okay, we're good. Took a look on the passenger side and went, oh, fuck. The bolts holding the half shaft to the transmission output flange had walked all the way out, like they did on the driver's side several months back. Now, the bolts had been torqued on both sides after Ryan reinstalled them on the driver's side. So I called for road service. I think almost every organization in the United States hires people that hardly speak English. And I don't know who makes up the script, but they ask the most asinine questions. I attempted about 6 times to tell the female where I was broke down. I said, I'm at the traffic light at the intersection of West 150th and I-71 entrance ramp southbound. Now, anybody with a Google can Google map and see where I'm at. Not this fucking idiot You're on the entrance ramp, southbound? No. I am on West 150th Street at the traffic light, tying up traffic, and I am at the southbound I-71 entrance ramp. I am not on the entrance ramp. I am at the beginning of the entrance ramp. So you're on I-71. I said, I am on West 150th, 150 at the traffic light. I said, hold on. Let me get an address of the building I am parked next to. Because it seems that I'm confusing your ass. So I get out and I give her an address. I says, I am right in front of this building tying up a lane of traffic. You're in the parking lot of the building? Oh, I hung up. I fucking hung up. I said, I'm going to try this again. The second person was worse. I could hardly understand what she was asking. So I asked for a supervisor. That was almost as bad because the supervisor could barely speak English. So I said, listen close. I am on West 150 in front of this address, blocking a lane of traffic. It is rush hour. Are you safe? I said, if I don't get ass-ended, I'm safe. Can you move the car? If I could move the car, I wouldn't be blocking a lane of traffic. Let me repeat this back. You are in the parking lot of... No! I am in the street in front of this address at a traffic light blocking traffic. Do you need the police? Oh, fuck, no. I don't know. I don't need the police. No. Okay. Let me dispatch the call to the next available company, and we will send you a text message. Good. I get the fucking text message. Your tow will arrive within 1.5 to 2 hours. By now, my blood pressure is about ready to blow the top of my skull off. And if I'm going to sit in this lane of traffic for 1.5 to 2 hours, Cleveland police are going to show up, and this car's going to get impounded. So I called back and I said, I cannot sit in this intersection for 1.5 to 2 hours. Is there any way you can expedite? Hold on. About 5 minutes later, she says, we have expedited and the tow truck should arrive within 30 minutes. Why didn't you do that the first time? So, I have my 4-way flashers going, and I have 2 sets of the green and white emergency lights flashing in the rear window of the Passat. Do you know how many goddamn idiots there are on the road that don't pay fucking attention? People pulling up right almost on my bumper. The light turns green. There was one guy who continually was blowing his horn and waving. Come on, move, move. So I got out of the car and I walked up to his driver's window and gave him a little signal to lower it. So he lowers the window. And I said, "You are one of the stupidest motherfuckers on earth and don't deserve to have a fucking driver's license. Do you see all them warning lights flashing on the back end of that car?" "Yes." "That means I'm fucking broke down, you asshole. Go around me." Then, it gets worse. I get a call from the tow truck driver. "Are you going eastbound or westbound on 150th?" "You can't go east or west on 150th. It runs north and south." I said, "I am pointed southbound, and I am right at the corner of 150th and I-71 southbound entrance ramp." "You're on the southbound entrance ramp?" I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, a dumb motherfucker. I said, "I am on West 150 at the traffic light, right across from the BP station. Do you see the BP sign?" "Yes." "Okay. Come, where are you?" "I'm at the northbound entrance ramp." "Good. Go under the bridge, come to the next traffic light, and look to your left." "I can't turn left, sir." I said, "Turn your head to the left when you get to the next traffic light." Now I see him at the traffic light. I said, "Are you looking to your left?" "I can't turn left." "Are you looking to your left?" By now I have the front lights going. 2 sets. I'm looking left. "Do you see a green car with a lot of green and white flashing lights?" "Yes." "That's me, idiot." So, he could very easily pull into the BP station, come out, and get in front of me. What does he do? He goes all the way down to Lorraine Avenue to where Burlington Coat Factory is at the former Kmart store to turn around to come back to get me. So he finally gets in front of me and he's lowering the bed, getting ready to hook up the car. And I says, "Do you know where we're going?" "Well, I can Google it." I says, I'll give you directions." "Okay, are you going to write them down?" "No, I'm going to give them to you verbally while we're on the way." "You can't ride in the truck, sir." I said, "What?" "Company policy. you cannot ride in the truck. I says, okay, I'll ride in the car on the flatbed and I'll talk to you on the phone. Well, that's illegal, sir. I said, well, I don't have anyone to pick me up and I'm not calling a fucking Uber. Unhook the car. I'll order another towing company. Well, we won't get paid for the call. Well, then you make up your mind. I ride in the truck and you get paid for the call, or you fucking leave and I will inform Allstate Motor Club as to why you left. Okay, you can ride in the truck, but don't tell my supervisor. Oh, I wanted to call his supervisor on the way to Ryan's. So we finally get to Ryan's. And Ryan comes out and says, just drop the car right there. Which direction do you want it facing? Ryan said, lower the bed and drop the car right there. Are you sure? I said, drop the motherfucking car, asshole. He wants it right here. Well, you don't have to get vile. He didn't know how close he came to getting clocked and having my foot stuck up his ass. This was the worst towing experience I have had out of Allstate Motor Club in my life. And I am going to call Allstate Motor Club in the morning and tell them that it's asinine to send out a tow truck that has a 4-door cab and people aren't allowed to ride in the truck. What, they think I'm going to steal the tow truck? I says to him, I says, what if I would have been broke down on the freeway? Well, then we would bring you and drop you at the closest gas station. Which makes no fucking sense. Because if I don't have anyone to call to pick my ass up, what good is it me sitting at a gas station when my car is going to be 8 blocks away? Almost every towing company today has a 4-door cab tow truck. Every one of Carlos's trucks, 4-door. Even the big honking monster, 4-door. I'm going to ask him tomorrow, do you take the passenger with you? The person that owns the car? Do they ride with you? I'm sure he'll say yes, because there are no signs on the truck that say no passengers allowed, which this towing company had those signs on 3 of the 4 doors. Why do you buy a tow truck that's equipped with a back seat and you're not going to allow the owner of the vehicle to ride in the truck? Absolutely asinine. And tomorrow, Allstate, first thing in the morning, is going to hear from me. Because if they have towing companies that have 4-door trucks with second seats, and the rule is no passengers allowed, they should not give them a contract to tow. And I guarantee I will be going to the top. Because I know if I talk to a lowly clerk, I'm going to get blown off. Absolutely ridiculous. You are broke down in the middle of nowhere, and you're not allowed to ride in the truck. Now, I wasn't in the middle of nowhere, but I was not going to inconvenience Marianne to come pick my ass up to take me up to Ryan's when they dropped the car. I was so goddamn mad. First of all, you have to literally repeat 8, 9, 10 times because the assholes they hire don't understand and speak English. And then you get a towing company with an attitude. Now, I realize they're overworked. There's a possibility maybe this kid's been on for 24 hours. Don't take it out on me. Take it out on your boss, not me. I am the customer. And then I get the wonderful news that out of 6 bolts, I lost 3. And the 3 that are still hanging in there have stretched threads, which means they won't totally lock to hold that axle onto the flange. Here's a goodie. I call Volkswagen and I said, I need 6 new bolts to mount the half shaft to the transmission output flange. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes. What year is your car? And give me the VIN number. I give him the VIN number. He looks them up. I says, do you have them in stock? Yes. Good. Now, I'm about ready to inconvenience Marianne to drive me out to North Olmsted Volkswagen to pick these bolts up. I said, how much are they? $11.72. I'm thinking 6 bolts, metric, $11.72. Not bad. Until I find out they are $11.72 per bolt. Bolt about that long. $11.72 each. I said, don't pull them off the shelf. I won't be picking them up. Talk about robbery without a gun. We're talking a bolt that is about the size of this pencil and about that long. Is it made out of pure gold? $11.72 per bolt? And he was serious. I said, you got to be kidding me. Nope, that's the price. I said to him, no wonder people do not want to take their cars to a dealer for service. I said, that is the biggest rip-off I have ever heard. $11.72 each. So I said, what size are these bolts? He said they're M10 by 35 millimeter. Thank you. So I call Ace Hardware. And I said, I'm looking for some metric bolts. He said, what size? M10 by 35 millimeter. Hold on. No problem. He comes back on the phone and he says, they're a little pricey. I says, okay. How much are they? $3.92 a piece. I said, do you have 6? Oh, he says, I have 50. Good. Put 6 on the counter with lock washers, and I will be out there shortly. So I asked Marianne, I says, can you drive me out to Ace Hardware in Fairview? I need to pick up some bolts. She says, when do you need to go? I said, well, as soon as possible, because my car is tying up the lift up at Ryan's. Well, I'm right in the middle of something. I said, okay, never mind. So I called my buddy down the street. And I says, I need a favor. I'll pay for gas. I need a ride out to Ace Hardware in Fairview because I need to pick up some metric bolts for my Passat. He says, why do you need to go all the way out there? I said, because they're the only ones that have them. He said, what do you need? I said, I need M10 by 35 millimeter. Let me call you back. Okay. About 10 minutes later, he calls me back. And he says, I'm going to pick you up. And we're going to run up to my buddy's machine shop. I says, really? He says, oh, yeah, he's got a shitload of them. I said, really? He says, yeah, I'll be at your house in 5 minutes. We get in the car. We go about 7 blocks, and there's this little machine shop. I didn't even know it was a machine shop. We walk in. The guy's got the bolts in his hand with the washers. He says, hold your hand out. He dumps the 6 bolts in my hand. I said, what do I owe you? Nothing. I said, come on, you had to buy these. Nothing. You need a favor? Schmitty called me. Schmitty and I have been buddies since high school. I take care of his friends. Have a nice day. There was a ray of sunshine in my day all of a sudden. So we run up. I hand Ryan the bolts and the lock washers. He says, I'll call you when the car's ready. He will pick me up, no problem. My buddy drops me off. I says, let me give you money for gas. He said, don't insult me. Have a nice day. I have driven past this place for years. It looks like basically an abandoned garage is what it looks like. I guess this place does all kinds of, what was he telling me, short run orders. You know, like a company will call and say, we need 25 widgets. He had a box full of them. He says, I got a shitload of them. He said they're popular bolts. I carry them all the time. So, when the weather gets a little better, I'm going to drive up and ask him if I can buy like 12 more, just in case. $11 a piece at Volkswagen. This guy's got a shitload of them. So Ryan calls me about an hour later. Car's ready. Comes, picks me up. I says, how much? He said, well, we had to retap. I said, how much? Well, let me explain what we did. We had to retap all of the holes in the flange because they were kind of wonky. And then we put thread locker on, torqued them down. How much? $50. That's the fastest 50 I ever pulled out of my wallet. Here you go. Have a nice day. I also thanked him for getting the car done as fast as they did, because basically they pushed mine in ahead of somebody else. That is why I try to send him as much business as possible, because you don't find little mom and pop shops like this today, not to mention the ridiculous amount they charge for labor. And I mean ridiculous as what a break. I've gotten, a $700 repair for $300. When they had to do the master cylinder and the power booster. If he'd have told me $100, I'd have paid him and kissed him. His father went, $50. That was the only ray of sunshine in my day. Well, the free bolts. But I'll tell you what, I feel sorry for the people at Allstate Motor Club tomorrow, because I'm going to be wound tighter than a Swiss watch, because I'm going to be doing a slow burn all night over this shit. Oh, Kathy, you know what? I support as many small businesses in this area as I can. And, unfortunately, when COVID hit, a lot of them ended up having to close up for good. The three bakeries, which I miss dearly, the one butcher shop, several of the little small auto garages. I don't know how Ryan and his father hung on. I'm glad they did, although, I couldn't believe when his father said, been there 30 years. I never paid much attention because, I do most of the work on my car myself. Unfortunately, this thing is a little bit over my head, which, even though it's a 25-year-old vehicle, it's at the beginning of all the modern fucking technology that they're sticking in these fucking cars. That's why I hope basically it's the last one I ever have to buy. After I get the car picked up, I had to go for so I walk in the door and I get my normal greeting from the big brother. And the wife comes around the counter and grabs me by the sleeve and drags me down the aisle. And I'm like, what? And she points on the bottom shelf. And she said, "We got your sugar." I looked down. Holy yetchafuck. They had stopped carrying it because it really didn't sell. Because it's large grain, pure cane sugar. It looks like kosher salt. I told them I was a little disappointed that they were no longer carrying it because I really liked it. They special ordered it. There it is. They will have it always in stock. I said, well, I hope I'm not the only customer that buys this stuff. He said, no, we have others, but you were the one that kind of made the big stink, So then, I grabbed the bag of sugar, and I'm walking up to the register, and the wife grabs me and she points and she goes, "We got new cookie." I look. They look like slices of bread. She goes, "No crunchy." Because she knows I can't eat the crunchy shit. She goes, "Soft, no crunchy." I says, "Oh, okay, I'll try it." So I put the sugar on the counter. I put the cookies on the counter. Big brother, her husband, he says, We just got in. I said, oh, really? You try, let us know if you like. Okay. Free. Really? Yeah, you try for free. I'm like, am I back in the 50s? Give me this box of cookies that look like, they look like slices of banana bread, but it says cookies. Unbelievable. And they do this for everybody. There was a guy that come in that wanted some off-brand beer because he had moved here from either Pennsylvania or Indiana, I can't remember, and that was his favorite beer. And he says to him, can you get this? He says, yeah, we'll check with, our beer suppliers. I happened to be in the store again when he came in. And the first thing the brother said was, in the cooler, in the cooler. He said, which cooler? Number 2, cooler 2. You look. There's this guy's, I'm going to have to look and see what the hell brand beer it is. He may be the only guy that drinks his stuff. They ordered it. I have never seen a little business like this with non-Americans bend over backwards to please customers. The store, even in this shitty weather, is always spotless. One of the wives is constantly mopping to make sure that the floors aren't wet. The floors are clean. The shelves are always clean. The glass on the doors on all the coolers are always spotless. No fingerprints. They just put new LED lighting in because the store, which I had to agree, was a little dingy because they were using the old incandescent. They're constantly getting in new product, not only for their, because they have a huge Indian base. I mean, there's a whole aisle of all kinds of Indian food. But if you ask them if they can get something, and they can, they do. They did not carry Zippo lighter fluid, liquid, or butane. I asked him one day, I said, you got Zippo lighter fluid? And I took out it was my fluid lighter, not my butane. I said, for these. No, I'll check. Come in a week later, he points to the shelf. Zippo can, big or small, I get. I said, okay, give me a big one. A couple weeks after that, I come in, I said, you got the butane? No. You need? I said, well, yeah, but if you don't carry it, I'll get it somewhere else. I check. Come in a week later, butane. Okay. Now, it's a little more than what I would probably pay. Well, Marks don't carry it. I don't know if Giant Eagle. I mean, they carry cigarettes. I'll buy it there and pay a little extra because they went out of their way to stock it. But I told them, whenever you get this stuff in, put up a sign. Talk it up to your customers. If you need lighter fluid, we got. I said, let people know so that it sells. Unfortunately, the other day when I went in, I needed lighter fluid. It was all sold out. I was like, Jesus. No, I just said, when are you going to get it in? He said, Thursday. Okay, works for me. I have the butane lighter. So, tomorrow, I have to go shopping. On the way home, I'll stop and get my lighter fluid. They bend over backwards. And every time a customer walks in the store, they get a warm greeting to make you feel welcome to walk in that door. The younger brother, the little one, he's not as talkative. But the older brother, like I say, they don't look like they came from the same mother. I'll tell you what, most of the time my ass isn't even in the building yet. And everybody is brother, though. You know, hello, brother, how are you? Glad to see you, you know. Of course, I told him about, when I was a little kid and I used to get paid to sweep the store, Plus, I went out of my way to find him a picture of what the store looked like back in the 50s. Michael's Square Deal Market was a little grocery butcher shop. That was like, I've been having a problem getting my Lawson's chip dip. So I switched to Dairyman's. It's close. No cigar, but. So I asked him. I said, can you get chip dip? Because they get sour cream. I check. Next week I come in, they get chip dip. So I says to him, I said, can you get the big one? I check. I come in a week later, go look at cooler. Go look at cooler. I got for you, big. They are unbelievable. They are just utterly, and I am extremely happy to see them making a go of this store, because for several years it was owner after owner after owner. Although the last owner, that store was a pigsty. They thought the floor was gray. I said, no, that linoleum is white. I said, that's how dirty that floor is. The two wives spent hours on their hands and knees scrubbing to get that whole store floor white. I'll go in there and the two wives will have a section of the shelving stripped, and they're scrubbing and cleaning, and then making sure that the merchandise don't have any dust on it or anything. Absolutely outstanding. You pay a few pennies more. To me, it's worth it because it's a convenience. I don't have to run, if I run out of sugar, I don't have to run to Mark's, or I don't have to run to Save-A-Lot. Okay, the sugar may be a few pennies more. To me, it's a convenience. But that when his wife, when she grabbed me by the sleeve, you come. Okay, sugar. You know, Kathy, if the Circle K would do it right, they would let customers order. And I told the assistant manager, I said, if I could order one or two large, I said, I would be here weekly. But I said, to walk in one day to find out a customer bought the whole shipment, I said, I'm sure I'm not the only one that was really pissed off about it. I said, I would almost guarantee that 98% of the people that would order the dip would come in on Friday to pick it up, knowing it's here. I said, you can see how it sells. I said, it is extremely popular. And I said, I would guarantee most of your customers are from my generation that grew up on that dip. In one ear, out the other. You know, I would almost guarantee if there would be a way for my little Indian store to obtain Lawson's chip dip, it would be in the store. But Circle K's got the lock on it because they literally bought the plant. They own the plant. They own the recipe. It's Circle K or nobody. And it really pisses me off because I miss that dip. And, you know, Dairyman's is close. Hell of a Good is close. It's no cigar, though. Nobody can duplicate that recipe. They come close. But no cigar. And it's a shame that you've got that situation down at your Circle K, because I know you want Lawson's chip dip. First of all, the police should be arresting the crackheads if they're malingering. Then the manager or you know the staff at Circle K should be calling the police saying, "Hey, get these vagabonds out of here. They're bad for business." Because I can guarantee they're, not spending their paycheck in that store. They're hanging around to make a drug deal. You perfect example. My little store up the street, they carried the regular Lay's potato chips. One day, I was just joking around with them. And I said, do you know Lay's has chips made from 100% real potatoes? Because the other Lay's chips, I don't know what the story is. A week later, I come in. Here's regular Lay's. Here's made with real potatoes. Now, what are they making the other chips out of? Artificial potatoes? I don't know. But I like the 100% real potato chips. They got them. Barbecue, regular, salt and vinegar. And I was just joking around. I was like, I was down at Mark's and I bought these real, I said the real potato chips. Next thing there they are. Your teammate is really causing problems with your trivia game playing. Wasn't it a couple weeks ago your teammate didn't even show? You think you need a new teammate. Do you need a team in order to play Lynxburg? You can't just go in and try to hold your own, or is it required that you have to have a team? Yeah, well, it's going around here. Yesterday when I was at my doctor, the first thing he goes, you want a flu shot? I said, no. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I don't want a shot. Can I get it in pill form? No. Okay. I forgot, and before showtime, I made a cup of coffee, so I wasn't going to waste it. I should be sucking down my Kringleberry juice. After today, 3 more days. And then, remember I said my primary care doctor kind of yelled at me the last visit? Well, I mentioned it to his receptionist or secretary or whoever she is. I said, I want to switch doctors. She says, why? I said, because I will not stand for being reprimanded or yelled at by anyone. I said, it goes back to my childhood. I said, I get really wound up when somebody yells at me. She said, really? I said, yeah, let me tell you something. Back in the day, I was managing a body shop and making excellent money. Outstanding money. And one day, the general manager decided to yell at me. And I fucking quit on the spot. I said, take your job and shove it. I don't need it. I did, but I ended up going to another body shop for less money, but nobody fucking yells at me. Well, yesterday I'm checked in, sitting in the little cubicle after the nurse took my blood pressure and my weight, and in pops my doctor, all smiley, shakes hands, sits down with a big smile, asks me how things are going. I said, well, you can check the chart. You can see how things have been going for the last 2 weeks. Is there anything else we can discuss? I said, yeah. I need an expedited appointment with Dr. Whack. For what? I said to have my toe chopped off. Really? Can I see it? Be my guest. Took off my shoe, took off my sock, stuck my foot in his face. He said, oh, that is a problem, isn't it? I said, yeah. And I says, after Dr. Metlavage ground off the callus, it's worse. After the visit, he shook hands again. Good seeing ya. Nurse comes in with the paperwork and said, call this number. You'll get an expedited appointment with Dr. Whack. Well, I forgot to call Dr. Whack today, so I'll call Dr. Whack tomorrow. Yeah, go ahead. Rub it in, Ron. Ribeye. Ron must have robbed a supermarket. Ribeye. You stuff that ribeye down in your shorts and run out the door, Ron? God, I saw pictures yesterday. I can't remember what supermarket. All of the meat had those chips that they put on clothing so that if you go out the door, every package of meat had them goddamn anti-theft things on it. I was like, God, how bad is this world getting where they have to put anti-theft things on meat? Oh, I haven't had good sloppy Joe in ages, Kathy. There used to be, unfortunately, COVID closed it, a little mom and pop restaurant up on 150th. They made the best sloppy joes I have ever had. And they served them on them King's Hawaiian buns. And they would put on a slice of American cheese. And then put the hot sloppy joe on the bun with the cheese. And I mean, you had a sandwich that was, oh, God, they were delicious. And they closed. And I haven't had a decent sloppy joe since. And Manwich just don't do it. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, Kathy. Coleslaw with coleslaw dressing or coleslaw with vinegar? Which one? Oops, easy, easy. Don't be knocking things over here. Well, that's all right. You can cheat. Sometime, you get a taste for Sloppy Joe, and it's good in a pinch. It's not something I would live on a regular basis. Oh, you like your coleslaw the way I like it. Oh. Yep, that's the way I like it. I don't like coleslaw with who the hell makes the coleslaw? Marzetti's. It's all right in a pinch, but I like mine. I like it on a little more sour. My friend sent me this. I thought it was kind of cute because it's definitely the way today's generation is. And it's a teacher that says, give me a sentence which includes the words defense, defeat, and detail. Give me a sentence with them three words. And the younger generation responds, when a horse jumps over defense, defeat go first and then detail. Hey, Oodles is here. How are you doing tonight? Yeah, there's kind of several cute little things here. Turns out that being a senior is mostly just Googling how to do stuff. Yeah, here's a good one. I want to be 14 again and ruin my life differently. I have new ideas. That sounds like me. Here's a good one. I'm on 2 diets. I wasn't getting enough food on the first one. I don't know where she found all this shit. Apparently RSVPing to a wedding invitation maybe next time isn't the isn't the correct response. That would have been me, especially after like the second one. Maybe next time, Grumpy. My mind is like an internet browser. At least 19 open tabs. 3 of them are frozen, and I have no clue where the music is coming from. That's me. Hard to believe I once had a phone attached to a wall, and when it rang, I picked it up without knowing who was calling, and I'm still alive. Oh, this sounds like me. My tolerance for idiots is extremely low today. I used to have some immunity build up, but obviously there's a new strain out there. Gee, oh, did you see where Savannah Guthrie's mother got abducted? And they found blood trail through the house. And then yesterday they got a ransom letter. She was all set to go to Italy to the Olympics. And her mother, I think it was Sunday night, somebody broke in the house and abducted her. And right now they don't know if she's dead or alive, unfortunately. I just hope, basically, whoever sent that ransom note isn't doing it to, fuck with the family. Although the Pinal County Sheriff's Department is taking it quite serious. So is the FBI. But the scary thing is, the blood in the house and the blood out on the front porch coming out the front door. That's scary there. And unfortunately, in the area where she lives, the people that have Ring doorbell cameras, none of the cameras really caught what was going on. So they have no idea when this happened, how many people. Hopefully she's still alive. It was on the news this morning that they received, the ransom letter got sent to a newspaper. And the newspaper immediately gave it to the sheriff's department. Now, of course, now they're checking to see if it's got, DNA, and then how many people handled the frickin' envelope before it got to the sheriff's office. And of course, no return address. And they said, they can't trust the postmark because somebody could have driven to the other side of the state to mail that letter. They have no suspects, nothing. because Savannah was supposed to do the co-hosting for the opening of the Olympics. Of course, she ain't getting on a plane now. And, unfortunately, I guess where she lives is all seniors, so nobody heard nothing, nobody saw nothing because everybody was probably in bed. But they showed pictures of her brickwork in front of her front door, and it had pretty big blood droplets. Of course, at this time, like they said, we don't know if it's from her mother or from whoever took her, but they're assuming it's blood from her mother. And of course, you know, whoever abducted her, they know that there's money behind it. So, they didn't say how much the ransom letter demanded, but, they know that Savannah's in the bucks. And, the family will pay anything to get mom back alive and safe. But like they were saying, it's odd all of a sudden. Now, she's lived there for years. Everybody knew who her daughter was. All of a sudden, they come in and grab mom. Very strange. And, the real strange thing is, I watch these interrogation videos, and, some of these people come out of the ghetto, and in the ghetto, there's 560,000 Ring doorbell cameras. And here in this retirement community, nothing was caught on any camera anywhere. You would think in a retirement community, everybody would have a goddamn Ring doorbell camera on their door. Nope, not out there. Even Savannah's mom didn't have one. And you would think, with her being the mother of a well-known news person, her mother would have had security all around the house. Thanks, Lynx Fur. You're always so complimentary. That's because I know this microphone, the converter unit, has got a blue light on it. So I got a blue light right underneath me. That's why I've got the blue. I figured that out last night after I signed off. I was like, oh, that's where the damn blue is coming from. What I should do is somewhere over here put a white light. Or turn on the red one. Oh, no, it's a blue one. There, even more blue. Yeah, we're going to shut that one off. Yeah, I'm going to have to get one of my camera lights and maybe mount it up here somewhere. Although I could take this one. Oops. I could use that one. Although I didn't know anybody wanted to see me in true living color. It's kind of scary. Yeah, it's like looking in the mirror first thing in the morning going, can I do a redo? Can I get a makeover? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The goddamn car breaks down today 20 minutes before I'm scheduled to go get my CT scan. If I could have got it off the road into a parking lot, I could have walked over to get my CT done and then come back and called road service. But that car's trying to push that car is like trying to push a Sherman tank stuck in gear. That little car is so fucking heavy. One of these days I'm going to go in and look up the specs for weight. That little sedan is the heaviest goddamn car. I know because I tried pushing it once. I was like, geez, I can push the shit box all over the place. Trying to get this thing to move is like, trying to push a semi stuck in reverse. And you're pushing forward. Yeah, the stars do look better. So does my dressing room sign. I hung it there for the hell of it. I am going to put it on my bedroom door. Just for fun. My kid will come downstairs and go, what the fuck is that? Maybe I'll use that light nightly. I never thought of using that one. I'll keep it right in that position and at that light level. It does look pretty good. The stars definitely do show up better. It would be neat to go out to the Hollywood Walk of Fame and actually see, like, holy shit, they are real. It's amazing what you can buy off of Temu. Oh, I got the email list from my buddy's son today. The only thing that I want is the top of the line headphones. He has a couple of sets that are actually 3 above these, and these are pretty expensive. So I told him, I said, can I have the headphones? He says, yeah, I'll get them in the mail to you like next week. I said, okay. Says it weighs 3,200 pounds. Oh, when you go to push that thing, it feels like 4,200 pounds. That is one heavy little car. Because you figure it's roughly almost the size of a Ford Taurus. Maybe a little smaller. But it's a bitch to push. It really is. That's why I say, if there would have been any way for me to get it in the parking lot where I was broke down in front of that It used to be the old National City Bank Operations Center. Then when PNC took them over, they closed it. And there's just a big empty parking lot. If I could have shoved it in there, I'd have walked actually, it's like a block. I'd have gone in and got my CT scan done, walked back. By then my toe would have felt like it was about this big. And then call road service. But I needed to get it out of the street. And I didn't want to leave it. You know, when it broke down in September, when the bolts fell out of the opposite side, I left it in the street with all the lights flashing. I walked home. I got the shit box, and then I sat behind it with the shit box until they could tow it to Ryan's, which was 2 blocks. But I didn't dare leave. Oh, there'd be no way I'd have left that car in the middle of the street today. Oh, I'd have never seen it again. Somebody had called the police. They'd have come and towed it. Yeah, like, the girl from road service. Well, if you're blocking traffic, we'll send the police department to sit behind you. No thanks. I'm good. I'll just yell at the idiots that are behind me blowing the horn. I couldn't believe it. 4 ways are going. 2 sets of blue and white emergency lights like you see on police cars. People behind you. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, that one guy, he don't know how close he was to getting jerked out of that car through the window, like you see the police do. I said, what do you think all these goddamn lights are? Christmas? I'm broke down. The car won't move. The guy said to me, he said, well, it's running. I can see the exhaust. Yeah, it's running. I got the heater on to keep my ass warm. It won't move. I can put it in any gear. It ain't going nowhere. But I really appreciate Ryan and his dad getting that thing right in for me. Because they know how important that car is. I need it to get around. Especially, with the shit box down. One of these days I got to buy a new battery, and Ryan told me in his spare time he'll try to figure out why it keeps going dead. No charge. Can't beat that. He thinks it's... The relay box is right there. And it's got 6 relays in it. And he says, I think it's 1 of 3. He said there's 3 that basically, if they stick open, they will kill the battery. And he knows exactly what 3. And I said, well, I got a bunch of relays. I'll just start swapping shit around. He goes, no. He said, get it up here and we'll do it right. If he gets it figured out, I'll fucking buy him lunch. Him and his father. Whatever they want. Like I say, when his father went, give me $50. If I would have taken it to Conrad's, it would have been $450. And the nice thing is to see they're always busy. There's always a shitload of cars in their lot. As a matter of fact, Ryan showed me today behind the building, they bought a tow truck. His father's got to do a little engine work on it, and he said, we're going to start towing our own customers' cars, which will basically increase their business. Yeah, it's an old Ford. Gotta be. It's a late 80s vintage. It's all white. It's got a wheel lift on the back. I don't know where he found it. The body is really in nice shape. But he said that him and Dad were talking one night at dinner, and they said, you know, if we had our own tow truck, we could do a lot more business. And Dad found one somewhere. It's behind the building. That would have been nice because I could call him today and say, hey, I'm 5 blocks away from you. Come get me. Matter of fact, once he gets it running, I know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna order him lettering for the doors from the outfit that I got the lettering for the Passat. They have all kinds of fancy. I'll do an eyeball measurement on the door, and then I'll order him door signs. I'll say, here, christen the truck. Oh, definitely, Kathy. Especially if they tell their customers, hey, we now have our own tow truck. Because then I wouldn't have had to go through all that bullshit today. I could have just called up there and said, hey, Ryan, I'm right at 150th and I-71. Come snatch me here. But it's a 80s. I'm going to ask him next time I see him. It's an 80s vintage Ford F-350. Clean looking truck. Clean. It's definitely not an Ohio truck, I'll tell you that right now. Because an Ohio truck would have been all rotten by now. Either that or the thing's been sitting in a building somewhere, But the cab is in great shape. The tow bed is in. The wheel lift, because they have a fenced-in area behind the shop, and you can't really see back there because it's like what the hell not security fence. I'm trying to think of the frickin' word. can't think of the. It's there. It won't come forward. It's back here. Come on, brain. Because when the gates are closed, you can't see anything that's back in that back lot. But the gates were open, and he said, come on, I'm going to show you something. I was like, oh, an F-350 with a manual. He said, yeah, Dad and I bought it a week or week and a half ago. I don't know if it's got a clutch problem or what. He said it's not ready for the road yet. I was like, well, that's a plus. That is a big plus. Because that way, you know, say the Passat broke down in the driveway. He can just run down the street, hook it up, drag it up there. Would be nice if it would have been running today, but can't beat that. But like he said, you know, we're not going to just go out and do towing. This is for our customers. I was like, great decision. Great decision. Plus, I told him, I said, having your own tow truck, if somebody calls you and they would have to call like AAA, you know, the AAA driver is going to suggest a different garage and go, oh, why do you want to take it there? You could take it here. I said, this way, a customer calls you, you run right up, snatch it, bring it to the shop, done. Matter of fact, maybe I'll order him. It doesn't have a beacon light. Maybe I'll order him a beacon light for it. Even if it is one of them magnetic ones, just here you go. Boom. I can get them cheap enough off of Temu. Goddamn Temu carries everything. Matter of fact, they got the siren and speaker back in stock. You can buy a siren and a 200-watt speaker for $48. If you buy a siren from Federal Siren and Signal, it's $1,000. It's amazing what Temu has. I ordered a couple more toys. I'll show them to you when they get here. I have to quit looking at Temu first thing in the morning. I check my items on eBay. I check my items on Temu. I go through all my email. Then I go back Temu. Oh, look what they got. I need to stay away from that site. But I'll tell you what, I have never gotten burned on anything. Man, some of the crap that I bought off of Wish, You know, it looks real good on the website until you get it home and it's like, the hell's this piece of shit? And boy, did I lambaste Goffe this morning. Oh, man. I raised all kinds of hell. I called them and I said, do your drivers know how to read fucking English? And the girl was like, excuse me? I said, pull up my order. She said, what's your tracking number? I give her the tracking number. I said, do you have the pictures? Yes. I said, take a look at the picture that's right underneath the sign that says deliver to side door. I said, also, pull up the picture with the shipping label. I said, what does the label say? Deliver to side door or milk chute. I said, does that picture look like the side door? No. I said, I'm quite influential on a lot of social platforms. I said, I am going to lambaste you people on that platforms until people don't ever ship with Temu. Tell whoever you're buying a product from not to ship with Goffe Express. Next thing you know, I was on a three-way call with the Warrensville Depot. And the supervisor of the depot personally came out, retrieved that box off of my front porch, and delivered it in my side door. Unfortunately, I was broke down when he came out here, but when I got home, it was right in the side door. And I says, put this address in with red flags. Deliver to side door only. Yeah, I got home. Ryan, dropped me off. I opened the side door. I was like, there's the package that should have been here to begin with. I can imagine when that driver got back from deliveries. That supervisor, come on in my office and shut the door. You and I are going to have a little chat. Because with this goddamn weather the way it's been, I haven't been able to put my address board out and then put my banner on the front door. Because I ordered one of them wood fancy, it holds your address. I painted it real nice. And then I got reflective numbers. And then I have 2 hooks on the back. And it's going to hang off the front of the awning. So from street level, you'll be able to see the address, even at night, because it's reflective. Then I'll put that big 36 by 72-inch banner over the front door that says, deliver to side doors, assholes. And they'll still stick it on the front porch. Because I called eBay and I called Temu and I said, ban Uni, ban SpeedX. And there's one other one. I can't think of it. It's a fairly new one. Because there's 3 that I have banned from shipping my product. And eBay's getting to be a real bitch to get through on the phone now. Matter of fact, they've taken... You can still find the phone number, but they've removed it from the Google search. I have it. I could see the people going, how the hell did he get this phone number? I have it saved in my phone. But yeah, I opened the side door and went, whoa, there's my package. Delivered where it should have been. My imitation Tupperware bread box. It's pretty good quality. Matter of fact, I put it in the other room. I was going to show. I was kind of afraid it would be thin, cheapy plastic, but it's really good quality for, what the hell did I pay? $5? Something like that. That way I can store my bread. And my one item should be here. It's shipped. Can't wait for that to get here. Because once it gets here, Kathy will want to order one for her granddaughter. Oh. And Kathy's going, you bastard. Will you cut that shit out? Once it gets here, Kathy, it'll all make sense. But until then, you can be grumbling under your breath going, that prick. He does this shit every night. And I guarantee, I know 100%, you will order this for your granddaughter. And she'll go crazy. There's Kathy going, you asshole, will you cut that shit out? It'll all make sense when it gets here. Everything will fall into place. And then I know you'll be ordering one. Kathy just threw her laptop across the room. That asshole, I'm tired of him. Starts this shit every night. Keeps me in suspense. I'm laying awake at night thinking, what the hell's he talking about? Right now, Kathy's on the phone ordering a bunch of people to be out in my front yard with pitchforks and torches. Tell them when they're in my front yard to clear my porch of snow so I can hang up my address and banner. And then I'll step back and take a picture. And my neighbors will all be looking going, what the hell's that shit? Although I can't wait to put that banner out. Jasmine, my mail lady, will go, what the hell is that? I know Grumpy, I know Kathy. Grumpy just pulling your leg. But I guarantee you will order this for your granddaughter. I guarantee. Because it's the neatest thing since sliced bread. Matter of fact, I ordered 2. I'm thinking of ordering a 3rd one. Although I got to get the first one and go through it. But I did order a 2nd one because after I ordered the first one, I came up with a different idea for the other one. And now that I ordered the 2nd one, I came up with an idea for a 3rd one. And everybody will be like, what the hell's this? I'll take it to my doctor's appointments going, look what I got. And my doctor will go, okay, ow, all right. Don't hit me with it. It hurts. And then, I've got every goddamn phone number in my phone except radiology. So I called pain management and I said, radiology's downstairs. Can you transfer me? And the girl goes, do you want the number? I said, can you transfer me? Well, yes. Then I don't need the number. Well, maybe you'll get disconnected. And maybe I won't. Transfer me, please. Hold on. Hello, radiology. I said, yeah, I'm a block away from you, broke down in the street. I need to reschedule my CT scan. Oh, we were wondering where you are. You're late. I know. So now it's in my phone. Christ, I got every goddamn doctor and everything under the sun. I'm going through the phone. Oh, shit. My whole M section is nothing but Metro this, Metro Pharmacy, Metro Pain, Metro Podiatry, Metro, Think it would say Metro Radiology? No. It do now. Yeah, the whole M section is just about all Metro. Metro. Spin through my phone and go, Jesus, he's got every goddamn number in the hospital. Well, no, I don't have the janitor. Interesting day, though. Nothing like starting the day off with a good bitch session. Get the blood flowing. Although I did that after I took my blood pressure. I didn't dare. The meter would have blown my arm up. Although my doctor was quite impressed because he started me out on the lowest dosage of blood pressure medication. And it's working very nicely. It really is. Then he reminded me yesterday, you were supposed to have a blood test done for your cholesterol. I said, all that blood work, they took 1.5 gallons and they didn't test. No, they didn't test for cholesterol. Everything else is here, though. He said, just remember the day before your next appointment, get it done, and you have to fast. I hate those. That means after midnight, I have to put water in my mug. Well, not as bad as the Kringleberry juice. I have to go to Mark's tomorrow, buy another gallon. I'm all out. Well, almost. Okay, peoples. I think it's about that time. If I can find my outro music. Here we go. We know where, right here, WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And with that, everybody, thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night. And with that, everybody, take care. And remember, with the OBS update, we have 2 see-yas. Okay. See ya number 1. And see you number 2.